Good morning, Tom's River, Ocean County, New Jersey, and all of America. I'm Dr. Barbara Schneider here live today on Radio Free America. It is Saturday, April 6th, 2024, and we have a packed show today.
That's right.
I hope I hope you can hear me. I hope
Yeah.
we ironed out the technical glitches. And as always, I'd like to thank Dr. Michael Katchmar for the use of his studio.
And his troubleshooting.
Yeah. Oh boy. And Jeremy sitting across from me.
Hey, guys.
And I'd also like to thank Dr. Gabriel Jasper and Paul for sponsoring me on WOBM on Sunday mornings for all you insomniacs.
That's right.
Okay. Good morning, Sean. I know you were out on the road early this morning. So to begin, I would like to plug the small businesses, which are the backbone of our U.S. economy and which are under assault by Joe Diaper, our president, and his henchmen. To start, TSF disposal, dumpsters for your cleanouts, dumpsters for your garbage. Get rid of all that old stuff. You don't know how much is hanging around. You can sell it or discard it. I got news for you. All that china, crystal, and stuff we've accumulated, nobody wants it.
Yeah, those precious moments, chuck them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can, good morning, Barbara. You can book online or by calling. The service is great. The reviews are 5-star, and you can patronize a small local business.
Yeah.
C&G Country Cafe, 2 locations, Tom's River Heating and Air Conditioning. That's the Petty family. They're local. Please patronize them. For your beauty needs, Frank and Maria's on Fisher Boulevard, Allure Salon on Route 37, and Harmony Salon up north.
Those girls are always listening to us. I wonder what they did last week when we couldn't air.
2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
It was 2 weeks ago because last week
good
was
grief.
Easter.
Yeah, it was Easter.
And
Hey, guys, we were so devastated. Barb was wrecked when she found out we couldn't do the show.
Because it was going to be a lot of fun. But today's going to be a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Anyway, for your political needs, let's go Brandon on Route 37, Red Rose Bakery in Silverton, great bakery, as well as Lenny's Market.
Yeah, Barbara Reynolds just shared our broadcast. I'd like to ask everyone if you could do that. I know our regulars always do, and thank you.
So Pipe Dreams Mechanical, if you need a plumber, Kurt Wayner's your man. CNS Electrical Contractor, Anthony Fasano, great electrician. He's helped me out quite a bit. Jersey Charm Coffee in Lenoka Harbor. They have beans and ground stuff and scones. A Blossom Shop Florist in Bayville. That's a family-owned business. They've been family-owned since, I think, 1975. And then for all of you who haven't gotten a chance to see it, Livodi's Old World Market.
Oh, yeah. Brick. Maggie and I went in there.
Oh, my God.
You been in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, my God.
Awesome. Yeah. What great stuff. Produce and pastry and bread and everything.
Oh, you name it. You name it. You could do your whole shopping there.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's a wonderful little place.
Absolutely.
It's just what our town needed.
You bet.
Yeah.
And a personal note of thank you to Tom's River Police. While I was preparing for the last show, I heard some shouting coming from the front yard. And it was my son shouting at someone who had driven into my driveway and was trying to do wheelies on the front lawn. And when my son asked her to get off the property, she drove to the back of it. So we called the police, who came within minutes. And of course, her excuse was no English. But I think that there are people casing the properties in North Dover and in Tom's River. We know that there were several thefts the other night in the North Dover section. We can thank Governor Murphy for allowing all these illegals in. The crime rate is astronomical in New Jersey. Remember, all the felons have been let out of jail.
Yeah.
The illegals have been brought in here. And thank God for the Toms River Police Department. We are one of the safest communities in the state of New Jersey. And if the current mayor continues to try and defund the police, we know where he's going to go.
What were they driving, Sean?
It was
it ATVs or something like that?
No. It was a sedan.
And he's doing wheelies?
And she was trying to turn around on the front lawn. She couldn't speak English. She couldn't drive, but she's out on the road. Yeah. Well, it was all a mistake. Yeah, really. Okay. So,
Are you moving on?
yes, I am.
Yes, I just want to make an announcement. Okay.
Yep.
Guys, my son got into Harvard. Yes, he's accepted and he's going. Maggie and I were screaming. We were screaming when we read the email because we had like a bunch of people over. Oh, all right, okay, and he did it. And he was denied by Princeton. He was on the waiting list for Columbia. Sorry, and he got into Harvard. Yeah,
Congratulations.
brilliant. Thanks, everybody.
So, as old timers know, and hopefully new people will find out, this is a show on which we talk about medicine and politics.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm an old general surgeon from a time when doctors really trained.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen the deterioration of the practice of medicine and the whole situation. And it's tied in with our politics. And so you can't discuss one without the other. And politically, our entire future rests on what's going to happen in the next few months. So America is in trouble. Everybody knows this except the current people in power who are
putting it in trouble.
Yes.
Yes.
So the left wing is way out of control.
Mm.
We have open borders. We have complete lawlessness.
Well, I mean, look at the people that just did donuts in your lawn, and no speak English. They're getting away with this stuff, and they're coming up from the south.
We don't know where these people are from. That's why I'm grateful to the Toms River Police Department. And this is a plan to take America down from within. Illegal aliens within our country are encouraging their buddies to squat on properties that are owned by other people. And you can't even get them off the property because they have rights.
Right.
So there's been a rush on the border where American patrol officers were attacked. Nothing was done. This is a deliberate policy by the Biden administration to bring in millions of illegals and get them to vote Democrat. So I got some of the numbers on what's being spent. Currently, $451 billion a year is going to illegals, and a lot of it is going to health care. Because of the liberals, doctors and hospitals cannot turn them away when they come and ask for medical care. They have to be treated because otherwise the hospitals and the doctors will be prosecuted. They have no right to be here. They have no right to use our resources. We have many Americans without health insurance who are being denied health care or are forced to pay out of pocket. These people do not have to pay. They're very ill. They're using our dialysis facilities, our open heart facilities.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, though. Like, if we can give all of this stuff away for free to people who have, as President Biden called them, illegal, immigrants were they called?
They're not immigrants.
No, I know what he called them. And so, like, if we can do that for them, why can't we do it for ourselves?
Because the Biden administration's policy is America last.
That's unreal.
It's America last. So all these illegals are flooding our hospitals and our healthcare system and getting free care, even neonatal care. They come here, they drop their babies who are allegedly Americans because they're born here, and they have to be deported. And the fact is, the children that are born from illegal aliens, wow, they are not Americans, and the law has to be changed. And it's going to take a lot of grit to change what's going on. This $451 billion, that's right, Terry, is funded by US taxpayers. And that's why they hired all these additional IRS agents to squeeze Americans for extra tax dollars so they can fund illegal aliens. Every great empire is destroyed from within. And this is the Biden-Obama lefty takeover of America to destroy us from within.
You know what I said on I just did a show with Dr. Kachmar, and we were talking about a lot of similar stuff. And I said to him, like, I was watching a reactor watching All in the Family, all right, a clip with Archie Bunker talking about gun control. Okay, and in the show, Archie Bunker is a right wing,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
and like you want to call him an extremist, okay. And what he was saying is what we're saying today. And then I started thinking about it. Like, you can go back and you can watch like politicians talking about what do you call it, with Vice President Gore, climate control and stuff and all of this. And they used to say, in climate control, in 5 years, we're going to be underwater, 5 years.
Yeah.
And scientists. But my point in saying all of this is the very same thing we're all talking about today, they were talking about then. And we knew what to do then, but we just don't do it. It's really disconcerting.
So what's going on is that this is a takedown of America from within, and the right always gives in to the left. The left screams and yells and shouts and demonstrates, and the right says, okay. And we've got to stop doing that.
Anchor babies. What's that mean?
Anchor babies are the ones that are dropped here, and all of a sudden they're a U.S. citizen.
That's clever.
So Americans are being impoverished by Biden's need to take care of these illegals. Yes, seniors cannot. Retirement is a fantasy of the past.
Cindy's in the zone here.
Children are being brainwashed and turned into whining snowflakes. And I can give you as an example, the Academy at Kings Point, which is supposed to turn out our Coast Guard and Merchant Marines. And let me tell you, at the first sight of trouble, they will be on their knees begging the terrorists, oh, don't hurt my feelings. I need to go to my safe space. Because of the vaccine, Biden got rid of all of our warriors, and we are open to attack. And that is the grand plan.
That's been like for 3 years, Cindy. They've been coming over in droves. We're lousy with them.
So this is what Elon Musk says.
There is either a red wave this November or America is doomed. Elon Musk. We were crying about the red wave before. We didn't get it. These Republicans, us, all right, we need to start doing instead of just talking.
It doesn't matter what your party affiliation is. This is America's survival.
You got my vote, Cindy.
This is any species that doesn't defend itself is doomed to extinction. We need to rise up and go after these lefties, because what's going on now, we now know.
Oh, is that Norm Macdonald? Well, it's finally official. Dementia patients are above the law. And who do we have? Oh, we got Biden dressed up like a magician. And it says, and now for my next trick, I will give you 3 $600 checks. And then next year, I will crash your 401k. You will pay $2,000 more in property taxes for rent, $800 more for gas, and $3,000 more for groceries. Oh, I love that man. And he's got such a flair of style.
Biden is non-compos mentis. He
Yeah.
is mentally incompetent. He knows how to steal and get money from China and send the DOJ to prosecute Trump. He is a criminal. He is a traitor. He's being run by Obama and others who hate America. So 2 weeks ago, the Senate passed a budget/funding bill and sent it to Biden's desk.
Right.
And, I read about how these funding bills work. Every senator gets a perk that he or she wants. And the more senior the senator, the more the perks. So this funding bill bankrolls DEI programs. There's funding for LGBT activists to teach elementary school children, which is an obscenity. When did pedophilia ever get to be legal? There is funding for abortion.
A couple of years ago, I think.
Up until the 9th month, which constitutes murder. There is $1.5 billion for AOC's Green New Deal proposal. There is a proposal for 12,000 immigrant visas for Afghans. Now, for those of you who recall, without the media's intervention.
Do you wear Afghans? Or is that just something you sit on your couch with?
They brought a whole bunch of Afghani criminals here with the disastrous fallout and retreat from Afghanistan. They had them housed here in New Jersey for a while, and then they were all in the wind. They're gone. Who knows where they are? They're waiting to attack America. I mean, we are going to get hit so badly, and then it's going to be someone else's fault. So 12,000 immigrant visas, they need to be deported and dumped back in Afghanistan. We don't need them here.
Yeah.
So there's $300 to $500 million for Ukraine. There's $4 million for the Bahamian Museum in Nassau, the Bahamas. Excuse me? $4 million?
Why?
There's
why?
Because some
Bahamas don't need that.
There's $8 million for bike paths in California.
When you're in the Bahamas, don't make eye contact with anybody.
$132 million for the state of Maine at the request of Susan Collins. Sorry, I mean, what is she doing? There's $99 million for Alaska. That's Linda Murkowski for a military gym. There's already more than 20 gyms that the military can use, but they need 99 million more. And there are other centers for military members. How much of that 99 million is going into Murkowski's pocket? This is how politicians get rich.
Yeah.
They demand these things in funding bills, and they say, push a little bit back to me. The more powerful the senator, the more pork they get.
See, that's where we should be concentrating all of our efforts, is putting down laws where there's no side deals or anything like that with politicians where they're making beyond what they're getting paid for.
There have to be term limits, because once these politicians get in, they're focused on staying in and getting kickbacks and bribes.
What else?
The only person I know who got poorer in office was President Donald Trump.
Yeah. He had to give up like so much just to be president.
As I always say, the Obamas entered the White House with a net worth of under $1 million and left 8 years later with a net worth of $49 million.
Unbelievable.
So what else did this bill include? Just to amuse you, $4 million for oyster recovery in Chesapeake Bay, and $12 million for international fisheries, not American, international. We need to take care of America first. And that's why one of the reasons people hate Trump. Real people in America want to work, raise their families, live comfortably in a home, have some free time for whatever, and they want the ability to save a little bit.
Yeah.
Right now, with Bidenomics, the American dream is dead. And what they're doing to our children, this is what Reagan said. Can you read this? Or should I read it?
Yeah, you read it. You read
Okay. The day a nation does not nourish its children on spiritual things is the day that nation begins to decline.
Mhm.
Prayer is a basic for strength and spiritual power. Without it, we become weak and misdirected. That's Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Now, if you pray, you get arrested and charged with a crime.
You know, when I was a kid, all I heard about Reagan was like SNL poking fun at him, jokes, well, you know, and all of that. And now that I'm a you know, right wing, I'm seeing him in such different light. His speeches, guys, go on YouTube. Just listen to his speeches for an afternoon. All right. You will feel so patriotic and want to do just take over the country and fight for it back. Listening to his speeches, they're brilliant.
So here, I'll read this.
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
The real conspiracy theorists believe that the government cares about them. The media would never mislead or lie to them.
No.
And the pharmaceutical industry that makes billions off sickness wants to cure them. But I want to turn now to a subject that's been in the forefront of the news for the last few days. And we will start with this cartoon. This is Joe Biden speaking to Hamas.
It's a very foggy, almost like Casablanca-like airport.
Oh,
is that what it's making fun of? I don't know. I don't know.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
as the plane flies off.
I was born in 74.
The plane is a UN ceasefire.
Yeah.
And Biden is saying to Hamas, you know, Ahmed, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Now I feel stupid.
So let's talk about the war in Gaza, because now that the Israelis are winning and have almost eliminated Hamas, there's a call for a ceasefire. There is a distinct negative feeling about Jews being able to defend themselves. The idea of Jews being gassed and incinerated was okay for a lot of people. And the Americans, the Jewish Americans in World War II fought side by side with the non-Jewish Americans. And there was a strength and a respect and a love for America. And in the 60s, well, first of all, we had the creation of the State of Israel, which was voted in by UN mandate, and America supported it. And the day after statehood was accepted, 6 or 7 Arab armies declared war on Israel. That was the War of 48, and Israel won. And then came the War of 58, and Israel won. And then came the Six-Day War in 67, and each time Israel was attacked. Each time. And she fought back. And in 58, it was Eisenhower who stopped the Israelis from crossing the Suez Canal and taking control of Egypt. Okay. So what happened in America? In America, you had this Orthodox community in Brooklyn that, following the Six-Day War, began to suffer attacks. And these people, most of them were elderly, a lot of them were elderly, unable to defend themselves. They had no clue. And a, um, a group was born. It was called the Jewish Defense League. And the leader was this rabbi called Meir Kahane. And he organized young Jews to defend those people in Brooklyn, sort of like Curtis Sliwa and the what is the name of Sliwa's organization, Guardian Angels.
Oh,
But it started with the Jewish Defense League, and people were offended. People were offended. So what they did is they took out a full page ad.
the ones that were offended.
No, the Jewish Defense League put
Okay.
out a full page ad. I think
Mhm.
it was in the New York Post. It's going back a ways. And it showed a bunch of young Jewish men with chains and pipes. And they said, and the caption read, "Is this any way for nice Jewish boys to behave?" And the answer was maybe, because they weren't causing crime. They weren't attacking anybody. They were only defending elderly Orthodox Jews who were attacked. And they got a bad name
Mhm.
because they're supposed to grovel and cower and not be able to defend themselves. And the whole concept of the state of Israel was that Jews can defend themselves.
Stiff upper lip, Cindy.
So let's talk about the war in Gaza,
Mm.
because you have all these lefties talking about the poor Palestinians. So before October 7th of last year, when Israel was attacked, there were 2 million Arab citizens living in Israel, which is supposed to be racist and apartheid because that's what the media tells you and the media lies. But there were no Jewish citizens in Gaza. In 2006, the people of Gaza voted for Hamas to rule them. The first thing Hamas did was to execute all members of the Palestinian Authority who had been in political power. So they executed them. And then Hamas canceled all future elections, and the people were happy. And the hundreds of billions of dollars of international aid that was sent to Gaza did not go to the people. It went to Hamas, and they used it to build a vast underground labyrinth of military installations for the sole purpose of killing Jews and annihilating the state of Israel. So there was a de facto ceasefire, there was peace, and on October 7th, Hamas terrorists crossed into and invaded Israel and massacred 1,200 civilians. They raped young girls to death. They beheaded infants. They took 253 hostages, dragging them off. And they also launched 7,000 rockets into Israeli citizens for the sole purpose of killing civilians. Did the UN object? Did the world object? Did anyone say anything about killing Jewish civilians? No, because it's okay. Remember, I told you the Jews are the canaries in the coal mine. So, did the Jews riot in US universities and attack non-Jews? No. Hamas places its terrorist centers beneath and inside schools, hospitals, and mosques. Why? Because Israel is assumed to care more about hitting civilians than Hamas does about using them as human shields. Babies born in Gaza are used to be put in front of terrorists. So now Biden's handlers wants a ceasefire because Israel is winning. And no nation can win a war without disproportionate violence that hurts the enemy more than the enemy hurts them. We saw that time and time again in World War II, where the US incinerated German and Japanese cities to win the war. The US military in Iraq nearly leveled Fallujah and Mosul to root out Islamic gunmen. But that's okay. And for Israel, it's not. The food truck bomb situation by an Israeli strike was tragic. It happens in war. It happened when a US drone strike killed a whole bunch of kids in Afghanistan. Those things happen. It also didn't happen that the food trucks were armored vehicles borrowed from Hamas. The media doesn't report that 80% of food distribution to Gaza is from the Israelis and provided by the Israelis, because it's black and white with the media. Bad Jews, bad Israelis, they deserve to die. The food distribution that they want to do will not go to Gaza citizens. It'll go to Hamas. And they'll kill the citizens to take the food away from them. Hamas objects to violence when used by the Israelis, but it's okay for them to do it. Hamas broke the ceasefire on October 7th. Now they're saying, oh, they hit us back. We want a new ceasefire. And Joe Biden wants to give it to them? Seriously, Joe, go have another ice cream. You're an occupier of the Oval Office. You need to be deported.
Yeah.
So did Hamas call for a ceasefire after they murdered the first 500 Jews? I don't think so. Did the UN say anything? No. Hamas is not entitled to protection by international law. They are not entitled to the rules of the Geneva Convention. They have raped, mutilated, and killed hostages. And by the way, of the 150 or so hostages still being held, at least 10 are Americans. Where's Joe Biden? He's agreeing to a ceasefire without release of the hostages. Go eat another ice cream, Joe. Go change your diaper. So, interestingly enough, on the media, if you can catch it, because it's not on mainstream media, but he spoke before the UN and he's spoken on multiple TV channels, is an interview with the son of one of the founding leaders of Hamas. And he said that Hamas is unwavering in its belief that killing Jews is a goal. The children are indoctrinated from day one that their purpose in life is to annihilate Israel. And Joe wants to give more aid to Gaza now than it gave before the Hamas attack. He's nuts. He's absolutely nuts. And the two-state solution is a sham. The terrorists want one state. And they're telling you outright, from the river to the sea, and you got that person in Congress who's also chanting from the river to the sea. Listen to what they're telling you, because they mean what they're saying. The terrorists want one state, annihilation of all the Jews. But what happened on Easter Sunday at St. Patrick's Cathedral? The services were disrupted by Hamas supporters. And listen to what they're saying. They're saying, first we come for the Saturday people, and then we come for the Sunday people. Canaries in the coal mine. They're telling you outright, first they're going to kill the Jews, and then they're going to kill the Christians, because there's no room in the world for anyone but Hamas. And there's a reason that no nation will take in people from Palestine, from Gaza. The Egyptians aren't opening the gates from Gaza to Egypt, because this is what the son of the Hamas leader is telling you. Once they run out of Jews and Christians, they're just going to turn on other Muslims who don't follow their doctrine.
Yeah.
They are just there to kill.
There's
They're
just
not-
there's no end game. It's just keeping it happening.
These are subhuman. They have no desire to read or write. They have primo beach territory on the Mediterranean. They don't care. All they want to do is kill Jews, and when they're done with that, go after the Christians. And it is Biden who created this whole atrocity by funding Iran, by enriching Iran so they can fund terrorism around the world.
And what have we done about that?
It so happens nothing.
Oh.
It is the Israelis who are protecting Americans in the Middle East.
Oh, lovely.
Because Joe is sending money and everything to Ukraine. And it is Israel who's protecting America.
Joe's puppet master.
It is Israel who is standing alone against the world to survive, defend democracy, and defeat terrorism. And it is an abomination for Joe Biden and his administration to say with one hand, ceasefire, stop Netanyahu, stop defending your country, stop defending your people. It is incumbent upon Americans who believe in freedom and democracy to support Israel and not believe the propaganda that Israel is an apartheid state, not with 2 million Arab citizens. Are you kidding me? This is all a lie. I hope that Netanyahu stands strong. I don't know the guy, but what he's doing is correct. Hamas has to be eliminated, and if there's collateral damage, it is the people of Gaza who brought it on themselves by mindlessly supporting Hamas, giving up their children as sacrifices to the Hamas God. It's like in the Old Testament, the worshipers of Moloch. There was child sacrifice, baby sacrifice. Everything is coming true. Everything is coming true. And Hamas is really smart. They are manipulating the world with the aid of the leftist media to blame Israelis for civilian casualties instead of themselves. And our lefty kids, our snowflakes, the ones who march, are supporting this. Someone should slap the shit out of them. Excuse my language. And this is not new. It was Golda Meir who said peace will only come when the Palestinians love their children more than they hate ours.
Huh. That's a good one.
So do not believe what the media is telling you. They are anti-Jewish. They are anti-Israel. They are full of crap.
I can't believe our world is still like the Jewish thing. I can't believe that's still happening. Like we're all the same. I mean, all right, you believe you have different religious beliefs. Big freaking deal.
It is.
It makes you wonder because we're living here in like really the lap of luxury compared to other countries and stuff like that. You really must wonder what they have and what they're living for and what they think tomorrow will bring and all of that, like we do over here. But over there, it's just a nightmare.
That's why they have to take down America.
Sure.
So no one has anything to compare it to.
Oh yeah.
So
because they see us and they want to tear us down from our ivory thrones and stuff like that. Because
they are destroying us from within.
Yeah.
That was the purpose of the Biden presidency. He's getting rich from bribes. The media won't report it. No one will touch him. But we are the prosecution and persecution of Donald Trump knows no bounds. I mean, the Letitia James case fraud is a civil action, but she found a way to criminalize it and bring it before someone who has no knowledge of real estate and who declared in advance that Trump was guilty. So for a victimless crime, which isn't even a crime, for conducting business as usual as everyone else does, he was fined $500 million. Some court reduced the bond he had to post, 175 million, so he could appeal the decision. This is not the American way. This is, you have an attorney general who ran for election on the premise that she would prosecute Donald Trump. That disqualified her from the beginning. But she's doing it. The hush money trial, where's the crime? Why is that a criminal crime? Why is that a felony? Why is Jack Smith going after Trump for presidential documents when Joe Biden doesn't have to stand trial for taking them when he was a senator and a vice president, and that is a crime. You don't have the right to do that. But Joe can do anything he wants. So what's at stake in this upcoming election? To quote the old show, it's truth, justice, and the American way. But it's more than that. It's the integrity of our nation and our borders. It's the minds of our children, which are being corrupted with pornography and stuff. Oh, can we see your shirt?
Yeah, this is a great one. Yeah, it's time we circle back. I said to Barb before the show, I've never seen an orange man look so white.
Yeah. What else is at stake? The American dream and home ownership. Who can afford a home today? That's why so many kids are living with their parents. You can't even afford to rent.
Mm.
And if you can afford a home, you need 2 salaries. So you have the American dream being destroyed when we have billions and billions of dollars going to people who don't deserve it. We first take care of Americans, and then we'll do charitable donations.
Yeah.
But these people who are coming into our country and overwhelming our social services and our medical system have to be kicked out. You're sick? Sorry, go home.
Originally, these things were put into place for our citizens, you know?
But Biden's policy is America last.
Yeah.
And a quote of one of the first quotes of the day, whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freedom of speech. That's Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
So the left yells louder and louder and louder and beats the crap out of any conservative who tries to speak, or they don't support it.
And all they needed was a pandemic to start it all off.
Yeah, well, here's a cartoon. It's RFK Jr.
All right. And he says, Biden is a bigger threat to democracy than Trump. And the guy that's sitting across from his head just blew up. CNN's not going to agree with that.
Well, RFK Jr. is a threat to Biden, not Trump. I'm kind of disappointed in the person he chose as his VP candidate because she's a lefty.
Who?
For his vice president. I don't even remember her name. She's a billionaire.
It's not that Nikki Haley, is it?
No, it's some lawyer from California. So RFK Jr. has it right on the vaccines and the FDA and the medical system. I am not sure he is qualified to run the country.
I don't want to put another really old guy back, behind the seat. We need some fresh thoughts and some different. I mean, Trump's no younger, but we know the guy. We know the man. We know what he's capable of.
So here we have a cartoon. It's an interview.
Oh, why the long faces?
And it says it's an interviewer interviewing someone coming out of the shopping store. And it says, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And the shopper says, yes. Now when I spend $100 on groceries, I only have to carry 2 bags to my car. The
This is a
okay,
good one. I'd
we
like to
will
hear
pay
about
for,
this.
okay, for the
Yeah.
Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Ooh, did you now? What do you think? What do you think happened about that?
Well,
Like, what's going on? Because that thing
Well,
hit that thing dead on.
so
Dead on.
this is a ship that was involved in a prior attack, and the U.S. military, the bigwigs, right, who can't find their backsides with a flashlight and a map, are trying to determine if it's a terrorist attack. I'll tell you.
Yeah, Michael says Trump vendor outside
Yes.
Crown Tire in Middleton
So,
severely beaten this morning.
so the Baltimore Bridge, this is crippling the Baltimore harbor, which is key.
Mhm.
Ships are having to go elsewhere.
Have you been over that bridge?
Possibly.
Yeah, I have. I have.
So the fact is, we don't know if it's a terrorist attack. No one's been prosecuted or arrested. People died.
Mm.
And the fact is that we're going to see more of that, because I told you about the Navy captain that was relieved of command for reprimanding an officer who was watching dolphins instead of watching steering on the bridge. And we know that the snowflakes at King Point are so concerned about their feelings that they don't know how to navigate. They don't want to learn. They can't even write a coherent sentence. They're entitled brats who know how to complain to Washington if someone hurts their feelings. So get set for more disasters coming up in the future. You remember when Obama was president, you had an American ship surrender to the Iranians. They just got on their knees and surrendered.
You know the dolphin thing? Watching dolphins? That's TikTok he was looking at. While he should have been doing his job.
And a captain, a Navy captain with 30 years experience, was relieved of command. She hurt somebody's feelings and he cried because my captain yelled at me. They have a film of it.
Like I said before, George Carlin said it best. It's the pussification of America.
So, and then here we have a judge saying to Trump,
I'm imposing a gag order on you because your comments pose a sufficient risk to the administration of convicting you in a fair trial.
So you have biased people, anti-Trump people. The judge's daughter, who works with him, has raised $93 million for Biden.
See these little cartoons. I mean, the hypocrisy is so real. I mean, and comedy's all over it. Because it's just so ridiculous.
Talking about free speech.
Oh my God. Imagine that.
This is what Angie Bell is afraid of.
3 armed men, camouflaged SWAT gear and helmets and visors. You can't even see their faces. And the caption reads, "Sir, we've reviewed your social media and we're here to take you to a meme re-education camp."
This is what I was talking about, free speech.
Yeah.
First of all, some of your stuff is deleted, but if you are a conservative or anti-Biden or anti-lawlessness, pro-police, pro-America, you stand the risk of being arrested. Now, we have an 82-year-old grandmother who was convicted of praying on the Capitol steps, and she's going to be sent to jail.
Wait, are you kidding me?
But the Hamas protesters entered the Capitol and not one was arrested. Then we have the confusion for our children calling all mediocre males. All right? So women's medals, records, scholarships, sponsorships are now up for grabs. Live your dream by ruining theirs. I mean, men should not be involved in women's sports.
Yeah, we talked about it. But then you got with the transgenderism stuff, then you get like performers like Eddie Izzard. Are you familiar with him?
No.
He's an English stand-up comedian, okay? And his his shtick was he dresses up like a woman, like cross dresses.
Okay.
All right. So now, after all this transgenderism thing has come through, okay. So now he's decided that when he's cross dressing, he wants his things to be his pronouns to be she, her. But when he's dressing as a man, he wants he, him. It's so convoluted and confusing, and it makes it so for everyone else. So you can't possibly do what's right or what they want you to do because they've made it impossible to see it clearly.
Destroying the minds of our children is another way of bringing America down.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you have
You got Mexican drug cartel employee of the year, George Biden from 2021 to 2024.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Not as a cousin Joe.
So
George.
It is so now all this disinformation seeps into medicine. So let's talk about COVID and the vaccine.
Yeah.
It is still being pushed. So one of my
it's like new Coke.
So I've talked to you before about the editor of MedPage, Dr. Jeremy Faust, who testified against Dr. Robert Malone, who had the interview with Dr. Birx, Scarf Lady, where she admitted to making everything up. And he considers himself a hero. And in an editorial, which is entitled, "Who Really Died Suddenly?" And the answer he comes up with is anabolic steroid users.
Boy.
Listen to what he says. During the initial COVID-19 vaccine rollout, a rare complication called myocarditis was detected, primarily in young males. The incidence of this problem was low, and most of the cases were mild. Still, even for people in the highest risk demographic for vaccine-associated myocarditis, receiving the primary series of the COVID-19 vaccine was safer than getting COVID-19 without having been vaccinated. That's an outright lie. Nevertheless, the anti-vaxxer factions seized on this and used it to sow doubt. The phrase "died suddenly" became a kind of motto for those looking to spread misinformation about vaccines. There has never been any link between COVID-19 vaccines and sudden cardiac death. So, and he says the increased risk for mortality is in people who use anabolic steroids. Okay, this is an out and out lie. And who should know it better than the African Americans?
Yes, the U.S. government offers free health care to Southern rural blacks, intentionally injects them with syphilis. Still want a corona vaccine? Wow.
So recently, I think last month, like 2 weeks ago, a Dr. Philip Cruz filed a lawsuit, an amended complaint against the Swiss regulatory authority known as Swissmedic for their role in enabling deployment of the COVID mRNA vaccines into the population of Switzerland. It was amended last month, March 2024. It was originally filed in July 22 and amended last month. It was because of substantial updates and amendments. The complaint provides a comprehensive summary of the case against the official regulatory positions and activities promoted by Swissmedic, which closely parallel those taken by the US FDA, Health Canada, and the European Medicines Agency, and most other national agencies. Okay, so the criminal acts performed by Swissmedic. And this is in direct answer to what this Jeremy Faust, who's a criminal, is reporting. So the initial authorization that breaches the law and duties, the perpetuation of illegal authorizations that breach the law and duties, disregard for all additional indications of risk, absence of a life-threatening or debilitating disease, no benefits from the harmful mRNA injections, omission of the most elementary safety and effectiveness tests, Swissmedic blocked effective alternative treatments like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, benefit risk analysis, continuing despite an obviously negative benefit risk, no product monitoring proportionate to the risks. Now, that's why there are no standards of vaccine and vaccine injury, because there was no quality control. Misleading information, medical malpractice, Swissmedic out of control, and acting to the detriment of the state and the population. So this complaint was filed in the name and on behalf of 6 persons directly injured by mRNA vaccinations and for other persons. So when you file a complaint, you have to have a plaintiff. So they're using these people who were injured. And this, compared to the original complaint, this one says that there was evidence that at no time was there a discernible threat to public health from the COVID virus in the form of debilitating or life-threatening disease. That there was evidence that available and long-established alternative prevention and treatment methods were ignored by Swissmedic. And it goes on and on to talk about the things we've talked about here. And as a consequence of the completion of the investigation since the end of 2021, there can no longer be any reasonable doubt that the risk to public health from mRNA substances already sufficiently clearly demonstrated by the criminal complaint is greater than the risk from the virus. And this risk continues to exist. So the vaccine is more dangerous than the virus. That's what this complaint is saying. That's what we all knew.
Yeah, we've been saying that forever.
And this legal complaint, according to Dr. Malone's review, is the most comprehensive summary of the regulatory mismanagement and fraud which has taken place at virtually all Western national regulatory authorities during the push for mandatory vaccination. And it can serve as a template for all nations to sue the regulatory people who said we had to get a vaccine, like the FDA and the CDC. So the fact is that they are still promoting this vaccine. They're still promoting boosters, and there are people out there still getting it.
Anybody dying from COVID?
No.
Yeah, see?
So, elderly, immunocompromised people are always going to be susceptible
Sure.
to disease and illness.
Yeah, I mean, they can get the flu or pneumonia and die too. Like, that's just it. But COVID, it's just not a threat anymore.
So this, in conclusion, they say, in the present case, we are dealing with the greatest danger to and violation of human health caused by medicinal products themselves and by misinformation from public officials in this regard that has ever occurred in the history of Switzerland, and I would say in the history of Western civilization. The mRNA vaccines against COVID infections which are largely ineffective and pose an above average risk to human health, have been proven to pose a far greater threat to the healthy population than the SARS-CoV pathogen itself, against which these vaccines were supposed to protect. So while Jeremy Faust, who's paid handsomely by the FDA and others and Big Pharma, is pushing the vaccines on you and your children, there is litigation against the people who caused this. And we need to question all the vaccines because quality control has disappeared under Anthony Fauci and the FDA in pursuit of money, kickbacks, and other rewards. And all those parents that thought their kids became autistic because of the excessive vaccinations, they were right. And we have to question anything anyone wants to inject into our bodies. And at all costs.
If we have the right to object.
And that's the freedom of speech. And at all costs, we must protect our children because God punished those who sacrificed their children and will reward those who protect their children. So
I'm still seeing people in their car by themselves with masks on too, Deborah.
So this is just turning aside from all this depressing stuff. This is springtime. It's my favorite season, and it is the season of miracles.
Mm.
We see the rebirth of the earth, and Mother Earth scoffs at those climate hysterics, and Greta Thunberg goes scream someplace else. We celebrated the resurrection of Jesus Christ, a miracle. And soon we will celebrate the miracle of the parting of the Red Sea so that Moses and the children of Israel could escape from the Egyptians.
You know what? There's something about you that I've always wondered. You're Jewish, okay, but you hold Christ in such
the most important man in the history of the world.
How did you get there?
Reading.
No,
studying.
I mean because I mean not many Jews are also believe in Jesus and all that.
It is a question of morality, and a question of the 10 Commandments, and a question of how we live our lives. And it's everything. It is what we need to survive evil.
Now, you didn't always feel this way, though. I mean, there was a time where you were Jewish, and Christ wasn't a thing in your life, and so
there was nothing really religious in my life.
No.
No, I read the Bible, but I was not. America is based on Judeo-Christian tradition.
Yeah.
And it is that the founders sought inspiration from the Old Testament and the New Testament. And they based the organization of this nation on the Bible. And both the Old Testament and the New Testament. And if you're an American, that's what you embrace.
Yeah.
Can you be an atheist and an American? Maybe. But God shed his grace on America. And to reject that, it's like faith for children, the Pledge of Allegiance, prayer.
Yeah.
We're arresting people for praying in the United States of America. We are attacking houses of worship and killing people in them. And we are allowing terrorists to come into our country. We're going to get hit.
We've arrested holy men, preachers for preaching their gospel. I mean, we've put them behind bars for doing that.
So, so Christians and Jews need to be united against godlessness, lawlessness, and the worship of terrorists by our stupid youth who have never read the Bible, who have never contributed to society, and the pro Hamas demonstrators who are allowed to invade the Capitol without any consequence. They commit violence and vandalism. They take down our flag. They assault our police officers. They need to be arrested. Terrorists are not to be worshiped and allowed to have free reign in the United States of America. This is a Judeo-Christian nation, and we have laws, and we have standards, and we have ethics, and these people do not. And to welcome someone whose prerequisite is your death is insanity. And to expect Israel to welcome or negotiate with people whose prerequisite is their destruction is insanity. And
yes, Marlene, our show is broadcasted on WOBM on Sunday mornings at from 6 to 7 or 7 to 8.
6 to 7.
6 to 7.
That's for insomniacs or early risers.
Right. We had a better time slot years ago, but we're making do with what we got.
Yeah, conservatives don't get primo time.
Right.
So, on a really personal note, okay, this past week was 1 year since my husband passed away.
You're kidding me.
April 3rd.
You know, I was just a second ago during our show thinking of Mort.
And because we remember him,
Yeah.
he does live on. And I would like to share a little Mort story because there are a lot of Mort stories. He was such a good guy. But we used to have birds, and he would throw excess bird food on the lawn, and the birds would come and they would sing, and he just loved the sound. So he decided to get bird feeders and put them outside, the kitchen window so he could watch the birds come and chirp and everything like that. But what happens with bird feeders is the squirrels come and get the bird food.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So he would put in the bird food and it would be gone in an hour because the squirrels would get it. So he bought barriers and the squirrels got over them. He used Vaseline so they would slip down the poles and the squirrels overcame that.
Wow.
He used every single trick that he could get in the store, and the squirrels still managed to get the bird feed. And after months of this, he finally had to admit defeat.
Oh.
Yes. So in that vein, I usually have a little religious reading at the end. And this isn't quite that, but once I saw it and I remembered the story about Mort and the bird feed, you don't know how long this went on and how much, I mean, really, before he quit, I can't even begin to tell you. And, watching his frustration and his fight. So I have a little story for you. Okay. And of course, this is, yes, Wild Birds Unlimited. We were really, really good customers. So
he tried everything then, yeah.
So when I saw this and I remembered Mort's battle, I had to read it to you, okay, to make your day. Okay. The Presbyterian Church called a meeting to decide what to do about their squirrel infestation. After much prayer and consideration, they concluded that the squirrels were predestined to be there and they should not interfere with God's divine will. At the Baptist Church, the squirrels had taken an interest in the baptistry. The deacons met and decided to put a water slide on the baptistry and let the squirrels drown themselves. The squirrels liked the slide and unfortunately knew instinctively how to swim, so twice as many squirrels showed up the following week. The Lutheran Church decided that they were not in a position to harm any of God's creatures, so they humanely trapped their squirrels and set them free near the Baptist church. 2 weeks later, the squirrels were back when the Baptists took down the water slide. The Episcopalians tried a much more unique path by setting out pans of whiskey around their church in an effort to kill the squirrels with alcohol poisoning. They sadly learned how much damage a band of drunk squirrels can do. But the Catholic Church came up with a more creative strategy. They baptized all the squirrels and made them members of the church. Now they only see them at Christmas and Easter. Not much was heard from the Jewish synagogue. They took the first squirrel and circumcised him. They haven't seen a squirrel since.
I have a squirrel story.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is a Dr. Jasper's father story. Okay. For about a year, he was just inundated with squirrels, and they were getting to his garden and all of that, and just tearing it apart. And so he would trap them, right? And then he would go across the river, and he would release them in the park. Okay. And he was doing this for a year. And but what was bewildering him was that they would always come back. You know, there was more squirrels. Okay. So a year's gone by and he's doing this, and he the only thing that's staving off the squirrels is that regular drive across the bridge and dumping them off in the park. So a year later, he's stopping for gas on his monthly trip to free the squirrels across the river, and he gets out and he pumps his own gas, you know, and he sees another pickup truck on the other side. And he's like, oh, and he walks around because he's interested in the car, and in the back he sees squirrel traps. Yeah, so he says, like, I couldn't help but notice you got squirrel traps in the back of your thing. Oh, so do I. And he says, really? You kidding me? And he says, no. He says, oh man, I just get squirrels just tearing up my stuff. And he says, wow. He says, what do you do with them? He says, I catch them and I bring them across the river. He'd been doing this for a year. So the squirrels leave his house, go and party with other squirrels, and then they're brought back home again.
So,
I'm sorry. I just had to tell that story.
on that note, I'm going to sign off for you all to enjoy this beautiful Saturday. It finally stopped raining, although the mud puddles persist.
Yeah.
And so if you need me, I'm still in practice in Toms River, despite all efforts to destroy private practice. It's Toms River, 732-244-2060. And as you know, I'm Dr. Barbara Schneider. I'm signing off for Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, and all of America. Be free, be Americans, and remember, got to get Trump in if we have any chance of saving America.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Stay safe, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Thank you for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it.
All right. For more information about the wonderful Dr. Barbara Schneider and all the things we talk about, please go see barb.com. You don't need a special invitation. Just go see barb.com and you'll find out